Hello and welcome back to Race Recap. My name is Jackson. A little over a week ago, we had the Truck Series making their first ever start at the road course of Mid-Ohio, and the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series on the 1.5 mile super speedway at Atlanta. So, here's a little track description for the truck race. This is in Mid-Ohio. You've seen this a couple times in the IMSA race and IndyCar. If you want to pause the video, take a closer look at what the trucks will be doing for the first time. And qualifying was a little mixed up because we had a big rain shower come through during qualifying, so trucks were spinning left and right, and that did not really set appropriately the qualifying that they would have on the next day, on Saturday, during the dry conditions. So as I said, it was a dry race, but it's still very exciting. 67 laps for the first ever start. There was no caution. Wallace Allen in the 45 went off course, and the gravel was able to get it back going. The first full course caution was for Mason Philippi in the 46 truck, a road course veteran, but he had some mechanical failures and stopped on track. Then there was no caution. Trey Burke went off in the keyhole and went off into the gravel, but fortunately was able to get it rolling once again before another full course caution. But Trey Burke did bring out the next full course caution. He stopped it at the exit of pit road with mechanical issues, and that Young's Motorsports number 20. Then the third caution, the Stage 1 winner, Parker Kligerman in the 75. The fourth caution, the Stage 2 winner of Zane Smith, and that was actually Parker Kligerman's first ever career stage win. And then the owner of Trackhouse, Justin Marks, was in the 41 truck for Nice Motorsports this weekend. He spun around but was able to keep it going straight. Then there was no caution. The 7 Spire truck, Dylan Lupton, was in that car this weekend. He spun and backed it into the tire wall right near where Justin Marks spun going down the hill. And he actually had some pretty severe damage to the back of that truck, but he was able to bring it back to pit road, but it ended his day. The fifth full course caution was for Justin Marks in the 41. Appeared to have a brake failure. There were no brakes as he went down into a sharp right-hand turn, and the truck just went straight, sliding off into the gravel and made some heavy contact with that tire wall on the far side, and that did end his day, as I said, but Justin was okay. Then the sixth caution was on that restart as they were in rounded turn number 1 going down that long stretch towards turn 2 and 3 in the keyhole. There was some problems with the 22 of Austin Wayne Self. Glad to see him back in the truck. He went spinning around after a little bit of contact, and he was hit hard by the 24 of Jack Wood, the 9 of Blaine Perkins, and then the 56 of Timmy Hill also had a little nose contact as well. Then there was no caution. Chase Purdy spun in the final couple of turns around turn 10 in that 61 truck and made little contact with the tire wall. And then the seventh and final full course caution for the 51 truck of Corey Heim, who was running up front all day long, had a transmission go and he had to stop on track. And lastly, there was no caution. When Matt Crafton in the 88 spun around with Chris Wright on the final lap, there was not a good replay of that, but I believe Chris Wright got off into the tire wall. And then the checker flag in this race went to the 75 truck of Parker Kligerman. And you may think this is his first career truck win. He actually won at Talladega a few years ago, but it's always good to see one of the small part-time teams win in the truck series. So the top 10 here were Parker Kligerman, Zane Smith, Carson Hutzvar, Stuart Friesen, Christian Eckes, Chandler Smith, Kaz Gralla, Derek Kraus, Colby Howard, and Haley Deegan rounding out top 10. DNFs in this race, Chris Wright was out for the accident on that last lap. Corey Heim had transmission issues. Jack Wood, Blaine Perkins, Justin Marks, and Dylan Lupton all out for accidents. Connor Mozak making his first career truck race when the 32 had brake issues. Trey Burke, it was a rear gear problem, and Mason Philippi out early with that engine issue. And the next race for the truck series will be at Pocono on the long 3-turn, there's no fourth turn. That's what they're known for. It's the tricky triangle, and it is the final regular season race before the playoffs. So I'll have a playoff video soon, but I believe if you're not in the playoffs right now, you're probably going to have to win to get in at Pocono. Derek Kraus is on the bubble right there, and I just don't see him being able to point his way in. Matt Crafton and Grant Enfinger on the bubble on the good side, but Derek Kraus and a couple other guys like Tyler Ankrum, Tanner Gray, and Matt DiBenedetto all out right now, probably going to need a win. So the next day, or actually the same day later on, it was the Xfinity Series because they can do it on the same day because they're in Atlanta on that super speedway. As you know, we had a race earlier in the year in March, and that one did not disappoint. And this one did not either, as they changed the mile and a half, still a mile and a half, but it's now racing like a super speedway with the draft. So, it's 163 laps. The first caution early on, Jesse Wuji in the 34 spun around in turns 3 and 4 and backed into the outside wall. The second caution was for the 2 of Sheldon Creed who went around. The third caution was the Stage 1 winner of Josh Berry. The fourth caution, the Stage 2 winner of Austin Hill. The fifth caution, the 19 of Brandon Jones, spun around but was able to save it, but there still was a caution. And then the sixth and final caution, the one of Sam Mayer, as they were entering turn number 3, had a little bit of help from behind, and he by the Toyota car, and he spun up hard into the outside wall, ending his day. And the checkered flag in this race went to Austin Hill in the 21. That is his second career win on the year, a great rookie year, winning the first race at Daytona, and now he's won again at Atlanta. So the top 10 here were Austin Hill, Josh Berry, Ryan Truex in the 18, Tyler Reddick in the 48, Daniel Hemrick, Noah Gragson, Justin Allgaier, Landon Castle, Riley Herbst, and A.J. Allmendinger round out top 10. DNF's next race, Brandon Brown was out for the accident. He had some damage on the track. And then Sam Mayer also out with an accident, and Ty Gibbs got into the wall all by his own self, I think, and that, I think, broke something in the suspension, so he's out for an accident as well. J.J. Yaley, fuel pump issues, and Matt Mills and Sage Karam. They have Sage Karam running once again in the 44 car. They both had engine issues. The next day, the Cup Series had a very eventful 260 laps at Atlanta. The first caution was a competition caution. The second caution was a stage 1 winner of Chase Elliott in the 9. The third caution was exiting turn number 2. The 42 of Ty Dillon went around after a little bit of help from behind, and the 78 of B.J. McLeod spun and was hit hard by the 17 of Chris Buescher, and Dillon nosed it pretty hard into the inside wall but was able to continue on. Then the fourth caution was a big accident on that restart. As they went down into turn number 1, the 19 and 1, Ross Chastain and Martin Truex Jr. made contact. They both hit hard on the outside wall. Joey Logano spun off the nose of Martin Truex Jr. after he'd already hit the wall, and he spun up into the 18 of Kyle Busch. Michael McDowell spun with a little bit of help from behind, and then he was hit by the 16 Noah Gragson in that car this weekend. Kyle Larson spun to avoid and made a little wall contact, and the 3 of Austin Dillon was clipped by the 34 of Michael McDowell, and Dillon nosed it hard into the outside wall, but they were okay, and a couple of them were able to continue on. Then the fifth caution, Chris Buescher had some damage possibly from earlier incidents, blew a tire on the right front, and he went straight off into the hard outside wall. Then Chase Briscoe brought out the sixth caution when he spun around. And then the seventh caution, which took this race to the end of stage 2, happened when the 48 of Alex Bowman appeared to have a tire go down, exiting turn number 4, and he spun and backed it into the outside wall. And that did, as I said, take me into stage 2, which went to Chase Elliott, swept both stages. The eighth caution, a huge accident. Garrett Smithley in the 15, who was running up front pretty well, I think, after a little bit of strategy. He just lost it on his own, it looked like, exiting 3 and 4. And as he got loose, he was hit from behind by the 42 of Ty Dillon, and they both went up into the outside wall, collecting the 8 of Todd Gilliland. Or actually, that's the 38 of Todd Gilliland. Tyler Reddick also involved in the 8. Bubba Wallace and Brad Keselowski spun to the inside apron with Landon Castle and Cody Ware in the 77 and 51. And then William Byron had some severe damage as he ran into the back of the Garrett Smithley car as well. And then the ninth caution brought out when the Cody Ware car spun around, and from behind, the 18 of Kyle Busch went around trying to avoid. Cody Ware had it straight, but then just overcorrected and hit hard into the outside wall. But he was okay and was able to continue on. Then the 10th caution, Christopher Bell went spinning. And then the 11th caution, Denny Hamlin went around in the 11 car. Up and down day for him. He had some contact earlier on with Ross Chastain, and as we know, there's a pretty big feud going on there between he and Chastain. And the 6th of Brad Keselowski also caught up in this incident. And then the 12th and final caution, the 13th and final caution happened after the 12th, which was Denny Hamlin, once again, in turn 3 and 4, getting collected by the 22 of Joey Logano, and they both backed it in the outside wall. And they took the white flag as they had a late race restart with Chase Elliott and Corey LaJoie up at the front of the field with Martin Truex Jr. And as everyone knows, Corey LaJoie in the 7, a very small team, Spire Motorsports, he in the 77 car, and he always runs well at these super speedway-like tracks, Atlanta, Talladega, and Daytona. And he definitely has to win to get into the playoffs, and this looked like his best chance. Led many laps, I believe the most career laps he's ever led at Atlanta. But unfortunately, he made a move on the last lap to try to get to the outside of the leader, Chase Elliott. Elliott went up to the high side in turn 2 and blocked him, and Corey LaJoie just lost the front end of his car. He went spinning into the outside wall and collected the 45 of Kurt Busch. So the race ended under caution with the checkered flags going to the 9 of Chase Elliott. And of course, that's always good to see the hometown boy from Dawsonville, Georgia, wins the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Top 10 here were Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain able to bring it back home second. Then Austin Cindric, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley, Eric Almirola, Cole Custer, and rookie Harrison Burton round out top 10. DNF in this race, Kurt Busch was out for the accident. Joey Logano and Ty Dillon out with the damaged vehicle policy. Tyler Reddick and William Byron out for the accident. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a very good car. He's also good at road super speedway tracks. Unfortunately, out early with engine problems. Alex Bowman out with a damaged vehicle policy. Chris Buescher was out for an accident. Noah Gragson had suspension issues from the accident. Austin Dillon and B.J. McLeod also out for an accident. Well, that's all for today's recap. Comes us in a little less than a week when we'll have the recap of the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series racing on the short track, or is it a mile and a half track? Come and find out when they're at New Hampshire.